They're safe now in Poland, but for Ukrainians fleeing war at home, life will never be the same.
I loved life, and now I can't tell you this because it's difficult. It's very difficult.
Nastia's just 16 years old, but she's left her home and family in Ukraine's capital of Kyiv, uncertain when she'll see them again.
I am very sad from my house, from my friends, from my university, from my mom, family and pets, and I don't know what will be tomorrow.
The scale of the destruction back home means many felt they had no other choice but to make the journey across the border.
It's so sad feeling because a lot of people that live near us died. So many dangerous. All our buildings in fire. Destroyed, yes. And it's so dangerous. And we so afraid live now in Ukraine.
For these women from Kyiv, the safety of their children comes first.
Yes. So my mother, my father, my grandma, grandpa, they left in Ukraine.
How are you feeling about it?
Thanks. It's so difficult, but
we have children that because of that we left.
We meet 13-year-old Sofia at the border crossing. Dad Sergei has stayed behind to fight.
My father
in Ukraine,
but my mother and my sister and I go to the Poland.
How do you feel about leaving your father behind?
Yes.
Strangers just 2 weeks ago, Taisia and Katia have now bonded over their shared experience of war.
My dreams, like I'm in bombing, like I'm now in war, but I'm in safe. It's really scary feeling.
We will win. Ukrainians are very strong, but we need help.
Well, there's a huge humanitarian aid effort underway here. Volunteers are handing out hot food and drink and water to those who need it. There's also huge piles of donated clothes for people to pick up on what will no doubt for many of them be a very long journey ahead. Someone who's also here to help is Stephen Carr from a Scottish charity. He's waiting for over 80 children from an orphanage to get across the border.
It's a huge worry whether we can actually get them out of Dnipro and get them to Western Ukraine. I think we can. I'm positive that we'll be able to do something, but you know, once over the border, that's not the end of things. We still have to find places for these to stay. We don't want to split families.
And can you tell me a bit about these children? What are they like? What are your memories of them?
I've been doing this for 17 years. I've watched kids grow up and start families of their own. I regularly visit the orphanages to see how they're doing. So it's very difficult not to get involved with that and not to be emotionally tied.
How does it make you feel to know that they're still there and not safe?
It's horrendous, and it brings me to tears at times knowing that we've supported these children for so many years, and we really can't get them over, can't speak to them. So it's really upsetting to have our hands tied behind our back when we're trying to do what we can for these children.
And is the plan to bring them to Scotland?
Absolutely, we've got a good support network in Scotland. That would be an ideal place for them to come and know that there's people there who they've met before. Our intention would be, if it was possible, to bring them back to Scotland.
This humanitarian crisis has mobilised many. Mike has come all the way from the States. He says he had to be here.
They all want to go home. They really do. We've spoken to a lot, and we've heard some horror stories about, you know, how their houses have been blown up and stuff. The lady I was talking to just then, she said my house is gone. So this, you know, I mean, what you see in the news is real. It really is, and we just get it firsthand the whole time.
Many of the refugees who cross the border come to centres like this one in Medica. Around 170 refugees are currently sleeping here. Since the start of the conflict, more than 4,000 have used this facility. It's a chance for them to rest and recuperate before planning their next step. Victoria and her 9-year-old son came here by bus from their hometown of Borodyanka, just outside of Kyiv.
It's so heartbreaking to leave my husband, my friends, my people, my country, my house, my land. I feel a little bit ashamed. I don't know why to accept this help. This is very unusual because people come and give us food, they give us clothes, because we didn't have a chance to take anything with us. So it's a little bit uncomfortable on the one hand, but on the other hand, we don't have the choice. That's why we are happy we are here, we are happy we are alive, but we hope to come back home soon. My husband, he went to the territorial defense, are learning how to use their weapons, and they are ready to protect their land if Russians come there too.
Just a few miles along the road in Przemyśl, over 35,000 people are arriving every day, more than half this city's population. The mayor here says he's proud of his people, with even school children drafted in to make sandwiches.
I just say to people, we need help, and after 1 hour we have maybe 500 volunteers in this place. It's that kind of situation. So we know our neighbors, our friends from the other side of border need help. So we open our hearts very, very wide and try to do all the best,
People from across Europe have been caught up in the conflict. For many of those who had to leave their homes so suddenly, there's still a sense of shock and disbelief.
People were saying, leave now, this is it. And I took this and wake my family up and I said, guys, if we don't want to be on the wrong side of this exit, we've got to go now.
Scottish brothers Stuart and Robert Mackenzie have managed to find somewhere to stay with their families and are now in Krakow.
Stuart was telling me, let's leave, you need to leave. But my wife would say, I'm not going anywhere. The only reason she left is when the kids could hear bombs, and the youngest one, Oscar, said, I don't want to die, I'm only 8. So that convinced her to pack a bag and leave.
You wake up the next morning to the shock of just thinking that you don't have a home yet. You're without, everything's just gone.
So now you're here in Poland, looking to the future. What's next for you?
And we still have people there, of course. Of course, all our male friends are still there. And that's what we're trying to do now, is make sure that at least when the women and children are coming over, we can look after them and they don't have to worry.
While so much is unknown about their future, Stuart's wife Elena stays hopeful for her country.
Don't know what's going to happen for the next month or 2 or year. All I know that my people fight for their identity, for their freedom, and I know they will win.
I hope all will be okay and the situation quickly ending.
We hope that the war ends very fast. We hope, and to return,
It's full of hope, I think, because we really want to go to our home as soon as possible when the war will end, but we don't know when.
Bravo!